Virgo, why do you feel like you have to endure this all by yourself? Like, that's it. The burden's all on you. Now I know the stereotypes, right? You guys love to be in control. And perhaps that is in part, there's a lot of self-sabotaging going on. The sun is opposing Chiron. Chiron is opposing the sun. And then moon is squared to all the big papas, Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter. And it's like, there's just so much judgmentalness going on, but a lot of it is aimed inwardly, right? Self-judgment, really self-persecution. If you can't pull it off all by yourself, if you can't figure this out all by yourself, it's not good enough, right? You're not doing good enough. You're not good enough. Or this sense of being alone, feeling alone, and feeling such a sense of burden coming from feeling alone. And yet exacerbating that loneliness by insisting that you do everything alone because, hey, I'm alone anyway, so I might as well just get it done anyway. And that's not true. It's not true that you're alone. You are not alone. And you're going to get some unexpected help, probably from a place that you pushed away and said, I don't really need your opinion. I don't want your help. There's no way you're right. Okay, I've got this. I've got it all figured out. You've already pushed somebody aside that tried to help you. And so there's this sense of burdening yourself with the full responsibility. The weight is entirely on your shoulders. And it's like you're keeping it there, even though it's killing you, even though it's hurting you, even though it's making you feel even worse. Well, I do believe there is hope. A light that dawns, a message that gets through. I don't know if you let your guard down one day or you actually decided to take a breath. But ultimately, something does get through. And that is a bit of advice, help from a very unexpected place, a place that maybe you thought was kind of low, kind of creepy, didn't know what it was talking about, or you just assumed overlook it. But it helps out a lot. Because there is something that you're gearing up for. It's like a battle that you're gearing up for. And you really don't know how you're going to win it. You don't know what to expect. You don't want to go on the offense too soon. You don't want to attack too soon. You are holding off the beginning of the battle. You don't know how you're going to go about it. And this is like one step at a time, little wins. And those little wins come in the form of remembering when you were happy. Like remembering those times that were just amazing and remarkable, and allowing your soul to lift just a little bit, those burdens to lift off your shoulders just a little bit when you allow yourself those breaths of joy that come in when you remember those joyful times, those joyful moments, not even just memories, just noticing those little things that make you so proud. And inevitably, this whole burden, this battle is going to be one little step at a time. How do I know this? Well, there's definitely sort of the burden of decisions, even the burden of responsibilities. Like there's too much chatter around it, almost like too much pressure. You're under so much pressure for your performance or the decisions that you're going to make or the next thing that you decide. There's a lot of talk about it and discussion. It could be a group discussion, a group discussion about which direction we're going to go in. And here you are, you have the burden of leadership. You'd rather just make this decision by yourself because the group chatter is something that you actually feel like you have to isolate yourself for. You don't want to be a part of the group. You don't want to be a part of the chatter. You don't want to be a part of the craziness. That's actually a bigger burden to you than anything, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to make this a public decision. You don't want to make this choice, leave it up to other people. You'd rather do it yourself, but that means that in a lot of ways you take the full responsibility on yourself. So it is a double-edged sword. And it's making you feel lonely and isolated. Yet when you tried it the other way, you couldn't handle it. You didn't like it. You didn't like the cackling. I don't mean laughter. I mean, you didn't like the cackling as in you didn't like you didn't like the debating, you didn't like it. The feedback, the different kinds of input. You thought it was crazy. There was too much chaos. It was too hectic. But there is advice coming in. This is advice in an unexpected place. I know it seems kind of creepy, right? But this is almost like you would have overlooked this time and time again. This is somebody older, somebody wise, maybe somebody from your youth, could be a mother of some sort, because we have grandmother Anna, grandmother of Jesus here, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. So the answers might come to you through ancestral knowledge, through something that your grandmother or your mother taught you that you might have put away or forgotten, or had said to you and kind of shrugged off your shoulders like, fuck that, they don't know what they're talking about. But they really did know what they were talking about. And it's almost like this sense of connecting with them so you take care of the loneliness, and listening to their advice so you handle the problem. So it's not necessarily, I'm not sure if this person is still with you. If they are still with you, then God bless. And this is a really wonderful way to sort of let in advice that you might have pushed away, right? But either way, this is definitely inherited advice that has been passed down. And it's advice that in some ways you feel very comfortable taking. And you almost realize that in some ways you're becoming more like them than you ever thought you would be. And you're feeling a deeper sense of connectivity to these family members, or this one person in particular. Realizing that it's almost like, holy shit, I'm becoming my grandmother. Holy shit, I'm becoming my mother. Or just something about you's changing to be more like them. You need to feel loved right now. You're desperately seeking it. Retreat, rest, and be held. It's like almost like you don't want to be the adult right now. You absolutely want to be taken care of and held and rocked and have somebody else actually make the decisions for you. But it's like you don't want the challenge to be given to you to begin with. You want to be protected from the challenge altogether, because if the challenge is put in front of you, you're going to want to jump on it and you're going to want to figure it out yourself. You want to be back at that time when you were young and things were playful and it was easy and you were protected from all of these things. You were protected from the need of all these responsibilities, and you could just focus on playing and having fun. Like all of these problems weren't something that you had to think about. But ultimately, the little things matter a lot. And the guidance and advice is here if you'll just take it. Because they do want to help. You are loved. People are trying to help you. They're reaching up to you, trying to be supportive. Like from places that you normally, like I said, wouldn't even look at, wouldn't even notice, would just sort of pass by. But there's little bits of wisdom in places that you've kind of written off. Take it. You might get to the point where you're so desperate, you will try something, you will try what you threw away. And ultimately, that's what helps you. You see this? Look at the big picture, full moon in Sagittarius. Because it's not about you, right? And I think the biggest challenge for all signs in this climate, in this astrological climate, is realizing, and I said this to Leo, I said this to Cancer, it isn't about you, and feeling that tremendous burden being lifted by realizing it isn't about me. And I'm not all by myself here. And there is something more important going on right now than me or my pride or, whatever, my sense of obligation. It's like when I get lost in my head, in myself, it becomes a bigger burden. Hi, Zebby. It becomes a bigger burden. There's something more important going on here. And once you get there, accepting that, realizing that, then you find a way to move forward. You are not alone. Ancestors stand beside you. Ancestors stand beside you. This is some grandmother coming through loud and strong for you. Like loving you like crazy, protecting you, looking over you, guarding you, and also, like I said before, setting an example for you. Like, this was how my grandmother handled the situation, or this is how she behaved. Like having that aha moment and remembering. Things are changing at a cellular level. Deep healing. The deep healing that comes from that connection, feeling that connection to that person again. Feeling like you're not alone. Feeling like you are protected and guarded in ways that you haven't been since you were young. Align your life. What is not aligned or needs to change? The more pressure you put on yourself, the more you crack yourself, the more you break yourself into 1,000 pieces. Because how can you get 1,000 things done if you're not broken into 1,000 pieces, right? But then what are you? You're kind of dust. You're pulverized. Pulled in 1,000 different pieces. Who am I? What do I even look like anymore? But because your attachment or connection to these people or persons always gave you a sense of who you are. And now it's almost like you don't feel like you have anybody. You don't feel like you're connected or have any attachment at all. And you just feel stranded out here all by yourself and alone. You're really not. Love never dies, first of all. It never, ever, ever leaves you. The wisdom and knowledge that they imparted with you while they were here, that feeling of being loved, why is that gone? Because you don't have that visceral attachment, because you don't have that physical connection. That's your choice, because it is still there for you in your heart, in your mind, in your intellect, in your memory. That's all still very much there for you. And I feel like there is something coming back. There is a warmth that's coming back into your life. It's almost like you realize, holy shit, this person reminds me so much of the person who is gone. And I brush them off just the way that I used to brush off that other person. And maybe I should have listened to them. I say that I miss this person, but if they were here, would I be taking advantage or brushing them off in the same way? Because I just did it again to somebody who's a lot like them. They're trying to help me. They're trying. And I can either decide to accept that help, or I can continue to try to do everything by myself. But ultimately, that just means more isolation, more loneliness, more fear, more hurt, more suffering. Co-create with spirit. These are messages from the divine, maybe even warnings. Not necessarily like of warnings of hard times ahead, of feeling drained, of hello, dealing with an ego. Your ego is getting in your way. That's what these cards are saying. Your ego is bringing around bad luck. Your ego is getting in your way. That's what it's saying. It's also getting in the way of messages that want to come through for you. Help that wants to, it may not be help that's wrapped up in the way that you want to see it, but it's there. Help wants to come through for you. Turn knowledge into wisdom. This is Piscean energy. It's the moon card. Think intuition. But this is about pain and suffering that maybe you have put away and now it's coming up, right? And there's a sense of trying to guard yourself and protect yourself from it. Maybe stuff that you haven't addressed from the past that you can't ignore, that you're trying to ignore, that you're trying to cut yourself off from. It's draining you, I can tell you that. This is Piscean energy. Turn knowledge into wisdom. It's not enough to know. You have to understand. And there's a lot of knowing that goes on with Virgos because you guys know and remember everything. You can cite things better than an online dictionary. But what about really understanding? Do you really understand? Or are you blocking understanding because you don't want to get that deep with something? It's too much of an emotional burden that you want to avoid. Let's see. Time for a beginner mind. You're very defensive and protective. You're on guard. You don't like these changes. You don't like what you're being asked to do. The newness of it all is kind of something that you want to let people know, I'm ready to defend myself if I have to. So you're basically like prickly. This is prickly energy. That's what it is. Life is speeding up. Yeah, you're bristling. You're not happy that things are moving so quickly. And things are moving quickly and they are coming together and they want to move on rapidly. There's also a lot of communication here, a lot of transportation, a lot of movement that's happening. And you like to go slower. You know, it's almost like you're trying to slow things down intentionally, even though everything else around you wants to go fast. You're trying to like slow things down intentionally just because you don't feel comfortable with it. But that's not the position to take. The position to take is faith. Slow and steady wins the race. This is you. This is also Cancerian energy, old energy, something that's been around for a very long time, something that you trust and have relied upon. That's more grandmother energy. I do. I have that feeling. This is almost nostalgia, I have to say. Like hearkening back to a simpler time. It's like, please take me back so I can live those times again. Slow and steady wins the race. It's time to take everything that you learned and apply it to your future. Act as if you're trying to hide all this conflict. This is an internal conflict, Virgo, and you're trying to hide it. Oh, you're trying to hide it. Maybe even you're even trying to hide yourself from what is inevitable, which is this change, this development, this growth. There's definitely something that you're trying to slow down that wants to grow beyond where you are. There's definitely. Surrender now, like a moth to a flame. In other words, this is inevitable, whether you're on board for it or not. And so, don't be the speed bump. That kind of energy. Because it is. It's supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen. Be at home. So there's something to do with your home space, your heart space. You have a lot of Cancerian energy here. Let it shine. Using your voice, your truth coming out, speaking your truth, saying your truth. But this is more, I think, allowing yourself to change. You know, sometimes we just speak too much and we don't listen enough. There's too much speaking. Maybe even deciding to defend yourself by trashing the person with everything that you know about them, you know, as a self-defense mechanism. And if that happens, you're going to lose somebody. I love you, Zubby. The card just fell on my puppy. Claim your independence. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be alone. But it's almost like you're going about it in a way that makes people want to get away from you. It's like you don't want to be alone, but you're going about it in a way that makes people want to get away from you. Bring a gentle touch. This is kindness. This is sweetness. This is hopefulness and innocence. And this is your energy. You know, the energy of a healthy future. Newness, freshness, innocence. Be loyal to what you love. This is Cancerian energy. Virgo energy, Cancerian energy. I think you're being very protective of somebody who's younger than you, or at least somebody that you assume doesn't know as much as you. There's a strong attachment to this somebody, and you're being extremely protective of them. This person has just this wonderful kind of innocence about them. They have a wonderful future ahead of them. You know, it's like their life is new. And maybe your life isn't new. And in part, you want your life to be new again. You actually want to be, especially if you're dealing with a child, your child. It's almost like you want to be back in the shoes of your child instead of having to be the adult. But the last thing the situation needs is two children. It needs an adult. So it's almost like you're looking back to the adult that you depended on. Very tender, open-hearted, kind-hearted, loving energy. That was kind and gentle to you to guide you and say, okay, this is how I act like an adult in this situation. This is how I'll do it. I'll use this example. And in using this example, I'll feel like they're here again. Wow. That is just so beautiful. Oh, I got 22, Virgo. You're dealing with soulmate energy. Claim your independence. You definitely did not want to claim your independence. This is definitely not somebody that you wanted to be parted from. You did not choose this. Oh, my poor dog. She sits right in the line of fire of any cards that drop on her. Let's go into spirit and angel messages. So you have a very powerful mind, Virgo, and what the cards, the spirits, or the angels are calling you to think about is using your mind to help heal yourself. And there is definitely a way to do this. Imagine is what they start off with. So use your mind to create the best case scenario, not this imagination. Clearly visualize the life you want. Feel it in your heart and soul, and so it will be. Now, it's almost like this imagery can actually help you in a lot of ways. Heal. Feel good. Like those, like I said, those little bits of breath that can come in on the dreams. It's not a permanent fix, no, but it is definitely something that will help you breathe easier for right now. Healing. I, the angel of healing, am with you right now. Feel my presence and my unwavering love for you. I have loved you before the dawn of time, and I will love you for all eternity. I know that you know who's speaking to you right now. It's a specific person. Sacred knowledge. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. Feel the peace within. Beyond your thoughts lies your eternal truth. the I am presence of eternal love. It's already inside of you. The answer's already inside of you. So the primary person that you're bullying right now is you. Because this answer is already deep down inside of you. It's already a part of who you are. And maybe it's something that you hold so dear, you like to keep it away. You like to protect it. You don't like to take it out. It's like fine china. But it's not delicate like fine china. It's really enduring. Anxiety. We surround you with the healing light of amethyst. Oh, I love this purple light. Take a deep breath and breathe in this beautiful violet light. Feel your anxiety melting away. There is nothing to fear. There is only love. Have you been dealing with a lot of anxiety lately? I think you have. I think it's just been getting to you like this. It's been sort of like deteriorating you, kind of like buckling you. A kind gesture rekindles your belief in the power of love. Remember to be kind to yourself, Virgo. A kind gesture rekindles your belief in the power of love. But I think that this is big love. You know, this isn't necessarily like romantic love. This is like, look at the larger picture. The connection from generation to generation. That love is so much bigger than what we experience in the physical world. The fact that it continues and it doesn't die. The fact that it is multi-generational and expands time and space. It's that thing that defeats everything else. It's connectivity. And once you get back to that, there is a route for healing and belief and faith. And I think that you've been very defensive and very protective. And it makes sense, especially with the moon in Aries right now. You know, it's easy to get very, very defensive when the moon is in Aries. It's easy to emotionally jump to conclusions. Take somebody's head off really easily and feel like everything is moving too quick, but it's not moving fast enough. And it's like, how do I deal with this? One breath, one step at a time. Let's go to tarot. We're going to see what other information we can dig up. More specifics. Get the details. The link is below, Virgo. I'll see you guys over there.